Okay, let's consider a slightly harder quadratic pattern that we're going to look at. And this one here, I want you to consider the number or the sequence 5, 14, 29, 50, and 77. And I want to find the 10th term this time, okay, or the 10th number in that sequence. So remember what we do is we have an X and a Y column, and we do 5 numbers of X, or 5 values, and we know that we put our values up from up there: 5, 14, 29, 50, and 77. And if you can hear a noise in the background, it's because it's absolutely hosing down with rain while I make this video. Anyway, so the first thing we've got to do is we've got to do our first difference. And this is where we find the difference between each of the Y values. And so if we have a look here, the difference between 5 and 14 is plus 9. The difference between 14 and 29 is plus 15 in this case. The difference between 29 and 50 is plus 21. And the difference between 50 and 77 is plus 26. And we learned when we did our linear patterns that if these are all the same, it's obviously a linear pattern, but because they're all different, it's not. So we have to do a second difference. Okay, so second difference, just put my blue line down here. Rightio. And so we now work out what our second difference is. I'll just use a different pen here. So the difference between 9 and 15 is 6. Between 15 and 21 is also 6, and so on. It's always 6 there. So because it's the same on that second difference, we know that our equation, and I'll just start it off down here, is going to be y equals something x squared, plus or minus something. So what we need to do is to find out what number goes in front of the x squared is we take this second difference and we divide it by 2. And so 6 divided by 2 each time is 3, of course. So we know that we've got y equals 3x squared is the beginning part of our equation. So then what we do is we come along here and we're going to sub in values of x into our starting equation, which is y equals 3x squared. And we're going to sub, that's our sub 1 field. So we'll sub in those values. So we're going to go, here we go, 1. What's 3 times 1 squared? Well, 1 squared is 1, times 3 is 3. So we go 3. What's 2 squared times 3? Well, 2 squared is 4, times 3 is 12. What's 3 squared times 3? So 3 squared is 9, times 3 is 27. And so on. So 4 squared is 16, times 3 is 48. And this one here is 75, if we work that one out. So now we go back and we do another difference. And what we look for here is the difference between our number here, 3, and what we originally started with is 5. So similar to what we did back here. So here we see that it's plus 2. Same, what do we get from 12 to 14? Plus 2. And we get that all the way down, don't we? There's always adding plus 2. So at this point here, because they're all the same, they're all plus 2 in this particular point, basically finished our little table here, and we put a plus 2 on the end of the equation. Okay, if these were different, we'd have another step, and I'll do that in a later video. But here they're not, so our formula is 3x squared plus 2. And to find the 10th term, we would go y equals 3 times 10 squared plus 2. 10 squared is 100, times 3 is 300, plus 2. So therefore, the 10th term in this sequence is 302. And in the next video, I'll do one where it's harder again.